Hello guys, it's yeah, I don't want to get doxxed by Toby Fox because I know some of his music's fucked up. Alright, we'll play a car. Ooh, $200 car. Oh, I want it so bad. I want it so bad. It's such a good car. It's a beautiful car. Alright. Don't I have like a little display capture? No. Oh, I do.
Hey guys, peace.
Oh shit.
My name is Abe. I was Employee of the Year. Now I'm dead meat.
Pull a gun on me again and you're dead meat.
Dead meat! You might actually beat me. You really think so? Hell no! You're dead meat.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror video games, and show you how they were made. I'm Zoran, up, down, left, right, BA, start, Gavoyich, and today we're finally fulfilling the prophecy promised in the Dead Meat Weird era by covering the original Silent Hill, released in 1999. Silent Hill puts you in the role of Harry Mason, an average 90s dad searching for his daughter in the fog and mystery-shrouded Silent Hill, a resort town filled with monsters, cults, puzzles, and very little recreational activities that don't end in murder. While most people would consider Resident Evil to be the big horror game daddy, present company excluded,
I am begging you to stop.
and the Dead Meat Game Daddy hears you. Silent Hill is a very close competitor, with a franchise spanning
Downhill's better.
7 main games, a bunch of spin-off games, including the soon-to-be-released Silent Hill F, 2 soon-to-be 3 remakes, 2 soon-to-be 3 feature films, the first ever video game Halloween Horror Nights maze, as well as comics, novels, compilations, an interactive TV series, and a fabled lost demo for a canceled game made by Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. You know, the guy that made Mimic! Published by Konami, Silent Hill was in part the developer's response to the massive success of Resident Evil. Game director and writer Keiichiro Toyama was approached with 2 options: either make a sequel to the Button Masher Hyper Olympics, or develop a new horror game.
すごいギャップですよね。
Surprisingly, Toyama wasn't much of a horror fan, so he leaned into the stuff that did resonate with him: the occult and David Lynch. Inspired by Twin Peaks, he started with the idea of a small Midwestern town and built from there. The development team, who dubbed themselves Team Silent, even took a trip to Chicago for inspiration. I wonder if they're gonna hit up Rinaldi's, the best deep dish pizza in the city.
I mean, the best pizza soup.
You're goddamn right I do. Go Soup! their Midwest town eventually turned into Silent Hill, Maine, a small, foggy resort town filled with disturbing monsters and crazy cultists. Other inspirations for the game included Stephen King, Alfred Hitchcock, Lovecraft, and David Cronenberg, as well as The Twilight Zone. Toyama figured that filtering these Western influences through an Eastern lens would help create something that felt familiar but unique at the same time. The goal being to create a game that was not just visually scary, but genuinely disturbing to play. While that is true, Silent Hill is just as confusing to play as well. There's a reason its sequel, Silent Hill 2, is lauded as the best in the series. Silent Hill 1's convoluted story certainly went over my head on my first playthrough. What is happening? It's got so much going on. Alternate dimensions, inside alternate dimensions, psychic powers, fighting demon possession, not to mention an entire drug trafficking subplot. And then take all that and cover it in literal fog. I mean, I've been watching YouTube videos and scouring wikis just to make sense of this thing. But I think that's part of its charm. Silent Hill's not afraid to be ambiguous, and it does succeed in having plot points that get more disturbing the more you think about them, which I will say is a true achievement in horror. If a kill happens in Silent Hill, does it make it... Oh no. Phoenix? Phoenix? Game Daddy's coming! Phoenix? Phoenix, I'm caught in some kind of fog of phone bills. Oh, looks like someone didn't switch to today's sponsor, Mint Mobile. Oh, don't worry, Phoenix. I'm gonna clear these bills by explaining that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless on the nation's largest 5G network without the premium price tag. With Mint, you choose the data plan that's right for you, whether that's 5 gigabytes, 15 gigabytes, 20 gigabytes, or unlimited data each month. And from now until September 22nd, they are offering 3 months of their unlimited data plan for just $15 a month. It includes unlimited talk and text and free calling to Mexico, Canada, and the UK. Plus, 10 gigabytes of hotspot a month. Fog still isn't lifted. Well, maybe they're concerned about the hassle of switching, but Mint Mobile makes that easy. You can sign up and activate in minutes right from home. You can even keep your phone number and any unlocked phone you have when you make the switch. Or if you'd prefer, you can shop a new phone directly from Mint's website. Haha! Fog lifted! Oh, there you are, Phoenix! Oh, wait. This is just some in the fog-filled streets of Silent Hill. But how did he get here, you ask? Well, the game doesn't tell you crap, unless you stayed on the title screen just long enough for a game montage to play, which reveals Harry is a widower and a single dad on vacation with his daughter Cheryl. While night driving, Harry swerved to avoid a girl in the road, which is how he wound up with a busted car and a missing daughter. So glad I learned that important context after I finished the game. We run around pressing X to Cheryl, but only find some guts with no head that we do not count, and a body under a sheet that we do count. We then follow a trail of blood and stumble upon some more headless guts next to a positively putrid passion play.
What is this?
Oh, yeah,
It ain't Christmas Town, that's for damn sure. And there's actually a bunch of background bodies in Silent Hill, so we'll save some time by counting the rest towards the end of the video. Now, let's get the hell out of this alley. But before we can, we're swarmed by the game's first enemies, the knife-wielding Grey Children. These pint-sized pokers kind of remind me of the OG minions from The Gate. But before I can tell them that I'm a big fan, they jab and grab us until we fade to black. No kill graphic though, as we wake up in a diner that's probably got some damn fine coffee. Ooh, looks like we were rescued by a sexy cop named Sybil. Turns out she passed Harry earlier on his way into town, as seen in that misplaced montage that's also full of spoilers. Look away, me! Sybil's from the neighboring town of Brams, and is trying to figure out what's going on, having crashed here herself.
The only person I've seen in this town is you.
She intends on leaving for backup, but Harry's got a daughter to find, so he stays behind. She says it's dangerous to go alone, so take this police firearm that she's definitely allowed to give to some dude she just met. We put it to use immediately when we're attacked by a pterodactyl-like creature called an air screamer and have to put it down.
What's happening to this place?
Yeah, this used to be a TCBY Blimpie, and now it's a Jersey Mike's with monsters. My hometown sure is changing. We find a radio and a map. next to a Medieval Madness pinball machine and an actual Stephen King Study Dammit poster that he made in the 70s for the University of Maine. The first of many, many horror nod-shaped pixels we'll see throughout the game. Outside, our draw distance is as low as the town's human population. Plenty of monsters, though. Luckily, the radio warns us when they're nearby, but it sounds less like a radio and more like an endless school bell. When I wake up in the morning and I gotta find my daughter. Oh, time to kill things. That include these two skinless dogs, known as groaners, and an air screamer. There, that ought to save our hearing from that bell. Shut up! Haha, better. We return to the time that Harry met that Allie from the prologue and find Cheryl's sketchbook, which has a picture of Harry on the cover? Oh, come on, that's a, no, that's a spitting image. It also contains a note telling us to go back to school, to prove to my daughter that I'll find her soon. On the way to Midwich Elementary School, Harry squeaks 2 more air screamers onto the count. Fortunately, Silent Hill's sidewalks were built by Shel Silverstein, so the only way to the school is probably near this doghouse, though I'm not sure since there's no dog around. Nope, there are many, many of them, and we hack/shoot these pooches onto the count. Inside the house, we help ourselves to the charcuterie display of table bullets, and have to figure out how to reload. Does this reload it? Yes, it does! I mean, that's one way of reloading. Of course, this is a video game, so the back door is triple locked. To get through, we'll need the 3 keys for Eclipse. So we go fetch questing through the town and fetch 6 more kills for the count, including a foul and dribbling doghead. No, I'm gonna call you Charles. Is it Charles Barkley? You get it. Along the way, I workshop some new show ideas. Oh, they walk? Before finding all the Wizard of Oz keys that let us open the Dorothy. We go on our way when suddenly and without warning there was a total eclipse of the sun. We then kill another air blaster or ass screamer or whatever they are, while avoiding many, many, many more on our way to Midwich Elementary, so named after the fictional town in John Wyndham's novel The Midwich Cuckoos, which was also the basis for the Village of the Damned films. All that running around forces Harry to catch his breath. A trait that Team Silent added to make Harry feel like a true everyman that the players could relate to, differentiating him from the policemen or detectives from previous survival horror titles. It's a commendable effort that would work way better if Harry actually spoke like a normal human being.
My daughter. I've got to find her.
But that's not fully the voice actor's fault, whose identity remained a mystery for many years, much like Resident Evil's elusive Jill Valentine actor, Inez. However, in 2018, it was revealed to be Michael Gwen, who said it was very difficult to sound natural since recording director Haruhiko Inaba wanted him to leave a 1-second pause before and after each line. Gwen was assured that they would close up the gaps, but for some reason they didn't.
You know something? Tell me.
I do not. After finding out that Sonic Youth teaches at this school, we find ourselves in a teenage riot of Grey Children, who then send us to Death Valley 69. Now, the Grey Children did not appear in the Japanese or European releases of the game, due to censorship standards about, not wanting people to kill children. I get it. In those releases, they were replaced with mumblers, because I guess it's okay to kill obscure Dustin Hoffman characters. But hey, this is America, so we're totally cool shooting kids, adding 21 to the count. I mean, hey, Alex Jones says they aren't real anyway. We aimlessly wander past a poster of what looks to be Dexter Morgan and find a locker containing a presumably very unpopular cat, who is promptly eaten by an off-screen presence. We continue searching the school, which is full of so much nothing. I mean, seriously, why write this? At least Resident Evil told us the table was made of glass. Oh, wait, look, a boiler. Okay, well, this looks promising. Nothing happens at this school. I hate this school so much. We eventually take a course in chemistry that yields a gold medallion that we place in a courtyard clock tower. The second medallion is actually hidden behind a brilliant piano bird poem puzzle that had me bust out some old school paper and pencil to decipher it. Team Silent intentionally decided to make the game's puzzles more abstract, reasoning that it would better match the intricate plot. So rather than trying to make the puzzles logical to their settings, they decided to make them more imaginative, hoping players would gain insights about the plot during their future playthroughs. Well, I don't know how much insight we gained, but we did get this medal faster than James and Chelsea because their game was glitched.
This is like fucked up.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn it.
We use the medallion to save the clock tower, and against any sane judgment, we climb this rickety ladder into complete darkness. Air raid sirens start to blare, and we emerge in a rusty, musty alternate dimension known as the Upside Down. Oh, sorry, I mean the other world. And in this other world, looks like they worship... Wait, is that Bill Cipher?
You deserve a prize! Here, have a head that's always screaming!
While the floor decor may be different, the packs of murderous gray children still remain to kill us. But we managed to get our revenge, stomping out 16 of them. Yeah, it still feels weird kicking kid ghouls in their jewels. I'm much more used to stomping giant roaches. Yeah, take that. Don't need a VAT system to kill you. Ha ha. We continue exploring Ludwig's fence-filled castle, solving a valve puzzle that gets us to the basement where we have to fight the game's first boss. Huh, wonder why they call him... I get it now. Well, now that I know that, I can... Oh, nope, I'm dead again. And if I'd been a little more diligent, I might have found the shotgun that James and Chelsea did during their playthrough that let them breeze past this boss.
Is that it?
Did you do it?
I did it once. Ha, what a dumb lizard.
Unfortunately, we're stuck with this pea shooter, which let us die 5 more times thanks to this shithead Splithead. After remembering a story I once read earlier in the game about a hunter shooting a lizard in the mouth, we wait for our chance and fire! And then fire like 7 more times until it's dead. Yes! Oh, fuck yeah! That was annoying as all fuck. Upon Splithead's demise, Harry gets a brief glimpse of that girl he saw on the highway. Like, so brief that it may not have been worth the 3 to 4 hour rendering time it took for 1 second of footage of these cinematics, which were all created by one man, CGI and character designer Takayoshi Sato, who routinely slept under his desk and used his coworkers' computers after work in order to render the 2,000 hours needed for the 10 plus minutes of FMVs. We thankfully leave the school whose design was possibly based on the film Kindergarten Cop.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
There's a fascinating video on Pro Troller's YouTube page that makes a strong case for Midwich being modeled after Astoria Elementary, from the entrance design, to the number 7 bus outside, to the nurse room signs, even though they don't have that specific 911 sign.
But wait, they move towards the door in the end of the scene, and oh my god, there it is.
To this day, no one from Team Silent has ever confirmed that that film was an influence.
Thanks for the tip.
Outside, we find the world has returned to normal, or as normal as a foggy monster town can be. Bang bang! I hope that wasn't John Wick's dog. While Silent Hill's fog is now essential to the franchise, it was initially implemented to help reduce stress on the game's engine. At the time of its release, most games, including Resident Evil, use pre-rendered backgrounds to save on processing power. However, Silent Hill used real-time graphics to help the town feel like an actual place. The fog was then put in to help hide the chunks of the town that weren't loading in, or in some cases left unfinished entirely, but has since become basically its own character and differentiated Silent Hill from its competitors. Though they did still copy some things directly, like the heartbeat life meter. But Resident Evil's creator Shinji Mikami didn't mind.
出た。忙しい時にディレクターがよくやる技。もう本当に手が回らん時に僕もなんかやったことあるんですよ。
Some distant bells draw Harry towards the town's Balkan church. Guten Sinn, jawohl im Balkan! There we meet a woman named Dahlia Gillespie, who says our coming was foretold by gyromancy, which is a real thing where someone walks around a circle until they're dizzy and falls onto a letter they've drawn on the ground. Which, funny enough, is how James figures out our salaries.
Oh, payday!
Looks like you're getting paid in Sideshow gift cards.
Yeah! Don't tell my wife. Dahlia mumbles some nonsense at us.
You must follow the path. The path of the hermit concealed by Flauros.
What? What are you talking about?
Good question. I had to look it up myself to learn that the Flauros is this millennium puzzle-looking thing that Dahlia gives us to help counteract whatever's happening in the town. She tells us to go to the hospital and then fucks off before we can ask any more questions. On the way to said hospital, we find a shotgun at the police station.
Groovy.
And it's modeled after Ash Williams' boomstick. double groovy. And its double barrels somehow hold 6 bullets.
This man's been over groovied.
We put it to good use, killing 6 monsters, including the new monkey-like rompers. Wonder if the FAA helped them escape. Inside the hospital, another cinematic adds an air Skeksis to the count. Its killer is hospital director Dr. Kaufman, who nearly does the same to Harry.
Hold it. Stop. Don't shoot.
Dude, he already did, and he has terrible aim. We ask about Cheryl, like we do, but Kaufman's bedside manner is as rusty as the other world.
But with all those monsters around, I highly doubt that she's... Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you.
It's okay, my voice actor won't allow me to be alarmed. Kaufman then takes his briefcase to return to the busyness of the hospital.
Did somebody say?
No, I said busyness. Busyness. Go. We then click through the hospital that's even more useless than the school. Nothing helpful, nothing special written here. Now we're just getting meta. Nothing helpful, nothing unusual. Oh, a newspaper with the helpful part cut out.
The most interesting thing about the newspaper is that it's missing something from the newspaper. God damn you, Silent Hill.
It's not a complete waste of time, though, as we do find a plastic bottle! Plastic bottle! Which we use to scoop up some mysterious liquid that's been spilled nearby.
It's not cranberry sauce.
Down in the basement, we do our best to debug the game, getting rid of these very unscary palmetto bugs. We take the elevator to the top floor where our Tower of Terror pre-show is so blurry we wonder if we'd forgotten to put on our 3D glasses. Oh good, and now we're back in the tetanus zone, where we now encounter a new enemy, the hospital staff, who seem to be infected with some kind of parasite. Before this nurse can break her Hippocratic oath, Harry revokes her license to live. Nurses are an iconic Silent Hill enemy, but their famous faceless look wasn't introduced until the second game. Here, they're just kinda normal people with quados on their backs. And for the sake of saving time, we end up killing 24 more medical malpractitioners while exploring Alchemia Hospital. Ooh, I have not seen a hospital massacre this bad since Joel's last visit. We roam the halls looking for
Health and bullets. Health, and bullets.
But instead we find some drugs that we do not take, and some blood that we do take. I don't understand your priorities, Harry. All while listening to a ridiculous score.
Get out of the room! Ah, my shoulder!
Seriously, it's like if Jaws never attacked anyone. We then find a hammer that becomes our penis, and some tentacles that could be penises depending on what kind of anime you're watching. This is the Bloodsucker, an invincible enemy we distract with, blood, in order to grab the last of the Alice in Wonderland plates we've been collecting. We use them for another fun puzzle that requires pen and paper. It makes us follow a poem with a not safe for YouTube ending.
Don't look at that. YouTube. Don't read that.
And unlocks the door that gets us farther into the hospital, where Harry's flashlight briefly turns into Navi.
Hey, look, listen.
Wait, you want me to look in the box? Oh God, what's in the box? What's in the box? Oh, nothing special in the box. All right, we make our way to the basement where we find a secret room that once belonged to the girl from Harry's visions. And we learn that her name is Alessa, and her appearance is based on medium Florence Tanner from The Legend of Hell House. Back upstairs, we find a nurse that doesn't want Quaid to start the reactor. Her name is Lisa Garland, and she's a hugger, which reveals the twist that we've been a balloon this whole time. Lisa appears to have lost much of her memory, and like the other humans in town, Lisa napped through whatever snowpocalypse took place here, and also doesn't know where Cheryl is. How helpful. When questioned about the secret room, Lisa claims ignorance.
We're under strict orders never to enter the basement storeroom.
Before we can press Lisa further, the air raid sirens return, causing Harry to pass out and wake up back in the real world with a special visitor. Dahlia Gillespie?
Yes, Dahlia Gillespie.
Dahlia Gillespie's exposition gets dumped with more gibberish before telling us to get to the church on time. Not the Balkan church either. Dojavola! It's Silent Hill's other church. She wants us to stop more marks of Bill from appearing around the town.
It is the mark of Samael.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I do not like these marks of Sam. Now, will you please tell me where the fuck I am?
Car trips, dead wives, satanic rituals. We lose ourselves in the fog of everyday life. So why not lose yourself and your daughter in the real fog of Silent Hill? A town where every resident is evil, every street name is a reference, and everything, I mean everything, wants to eat your fucking guts. Find what you've been looking for in Silent Hill. Unless that thing is your daughter, 'cause she's most likely dead. Your Lynchian acid trip of a game begins at silenthill.org.
We continue our self-guided tour of Silent Hill by killing Batman's parents in Crime Alley, and then his aunt and uncle and the Bat Hounds in the streets, all in order to make room for more rompers on the count. We notice that Silent Hill is full of weird businesses, like Just Cats and the Andy Shop. Ooh, wonder if Dr. Kaufman owns that one. There's also some more Easter eggy stores, like Mushnick's Florist from Little Shop of Horrors, and a theater playing Die Hard 2 and Raiders of the Lost Ark, renamed Crusher Dan and Shoot. Which is kind of what I said when I learned they were rebooting Indiana Jones. I actually said shit. Probably shouldn't have done that in front of my son. Additionally, Silent Hill's streets are all named after horror and sci-fi authors, including Michael Crichton, Carl Sagan, Robert Bloch, Richard Matheson, Ira Levin, and Stephen King's pen name Richard Bachman. Oh, and let's not forget that one street that Rachel Bloom would love to fuck. We're reunited with Sybil over at the Green Lion Antique Shop. She wasn't able to find a way out of town, but she did catch a glimpse of maybe, perhaps, possibly a Cheryl floating towards a lake near town.
It was like she was walking on thin air.
Nah, that can't be her. My Cheryl only walks on sunshine. We mentioned Dahlia Gillespie and her gibberish soliloquies, to which Sybil has the perfect response.
Must be on drugs.
Which is actually what brought Sybil to town in the first place, as she was investigating a drug being trafficked throughout Silent Hill. Oh dear God, this game is probably just one big LSD trip. That remains to be seen. In the meantime, Sybil shepherds Harry into a wall hole to find a big culty altar. I guess this is the other church? Well, better grab a weapon. In case of religion, use axe. But before he can leave, the altar lights on fire, and when Sybil peeks in, Harry has disappeared. We're back in the Otherworld Hospital. Boo words! Where Lisa claims we just woke up after passing out earlier. Also, I'm sorry, what's going on with the picture here? And projectionist, focus! Focus! We finally get some helpful exposition as Lisa tells us about the town's history. Silent Hill was once a thriving resort town, but found its population dwindling in recent years. That is until a fresh batch of residents came in the form of a mysterious cult. Finally, now we're getting somewhere.
I'm sorry. I'm rambling. I'll shut up.
Wait, no, come back, no! And so we wake up again, because I guess that was a dream, or maybe this was a dream. You know, I'm confused. Which was Team Silent's intent, as they like to skew away from a hand-holding cinematic story, instead forcing the players to gather fragments, which they then try to piece together in their own mind, in the way that dreams resemble a chain of unrelated events. Oh, cool. Yeah, dream stuff fucking sucks.
Hey, that hurts my feelings, bitch.
Not talking about you, Freddy. Harry considers the possibility he's in a car crash-induced coma. Kind of a Jacob's Ladder, Life on Mars thing. But last I checked, his name wasn't Sam Tyler. So we head upstairs to a new cat-walkable town and an old dog-chompable death. Well, hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh, looks like I've come to kill some things again, including 2 autoerotic asphyxiation-loving rompers and the otherworld version of a groaner called a wormhead, because it, you know, the slightly wormy head. Creative! Inside the town center, we watch an ad for the Missing Daughter Shopping Network, displayed outside a Virgin Megastore lawsuit waiting to happen. While exploring upstairs, we do a little fall on a catwalk and find ourselves facing off with a knockoff graboid called the Twin Feeler. We let it kill us once to see if there's a cool death animation. There is not. So in our sequel, we grab a Lar Grizzly single-shot BMG rifle to make it feel some aftershocks.
Fuck you!
Unfortunately, our little grubbalub lives to fight another day. But to make up for it, we kill 13 monsters, including the otherworld version of the air screamer known as a Night Flutter. Not a Night Flutterer, which would make more sense. We return to the hospital to regroup with Lisa. We need to get to Toluca Lake, where Sybil spotted maybe, perhaps, possibly, but not certain a Cheryl. And Lisa says we don't have to buy a house to see it. We can actually take an underground tunnel to get there. In order to do that, we need to get to the waterworks plant near the elementary school. And during my playthrough, I immediately forgot that information and wandered around until the chat reminded me where to go. Which is my reminder that you can actually watch me play all of these games over on the Dead Meat Patreon. That's right, you can join the likes of members Banana Milk 1987, IP Freely, and Froggy Fresh Shitposts. So if you want me to say your ridiculous screen name as well, just head on over there today, because I'll say it. a lot. Before we can shimmy through some shit, we have to battle this mini Mothra called a Float Stinger, which is actually the evolved form of the Twin Feeler we fought earlier. Though we are woefully unprepared, we managed to cancel this Venonat evolution and use our Refog hidden move to get back to Silent Hill. We enter the sewer tunnel, where we evict a few Joe's apartment tenants alongside some greeny meanies called Hang Scratchers, and we can scratch them off the list of the living. We spend a good 20 minutes killing over a dozen more of these prepubescent Doc Connors before we're swarmed and murdered. Damn, okay, well, I hope it doesn't send me too far back.
Oh no! No!
Yeah, whatever, it was 20 minutes of James's money anyway. Don't spend it all on one sax.
I don't pay for sex. I have a wife.
Saxophone. Of the several things that haven't aged great about the OG Silent Hill, chief among them is their save system. Thankfully, we could work through our gamer rage by killing 12 poopy, pissy predators as we retread our steps.
You're dead. You're dead. I hate you.
We emerge in the resort area of Silent Hill where our hammer sees a sign for its favorite store. We then nab 3 kills before ducking into Annie's bar. And inside, we narrowly save a struggling Dr. Kaufman from becoming a mumbler meal. We know he hasn't seen Cheryl, so we ask about the other girl.
Do you know a girl called Alessa? No.
Oh, okay. Bye? During the struggle, Kaufman dropped his keys and a cryptic receipt that includes a code we casually use on a general store while being attacked by multiple Mr. Peepers. Surprise hug! Inside, we find some FedEx boxes, which was probably more appropriate than using the UPS-y ones. Inside, we learn that Kaufman may be connected to the drug trafficking ring Sybil mentioned earlier. And outside, we kill 2 more rompers. Surprise hug with teeth. With Kaufman's key in hand, we head to Norman's motel. Oh gee, I wonder what Norman owns that motel.
Me! You know, I'm something of a motel owner myself.
Breaking into his room yields the article that was clipped out of the newspaper we found earlier. And also, porn! Damn it, I want to read the porn, not the articles. Ugh, whatever. I guess this article details several high-profile deaths connected to the drug called PTV, which is another in-joke as it's named after the band Psychic TV, whose leader, Genesis P-Orridge, also gets a bridge named after him. Too bad they didn't go for the hat trick by naming the diner Throbbing Gristle. Or actually, maybe it's better they didn't. We also find a motorcycle whose engine contains a vial of that mystery liquid from the hospital.
It's not cranberry sauce.
We're interrupted by the arrival of Kaufman, who's none too pleased to see us poking around, grabbing the vial for himself.
That's none of your business.
Business?
Go ahead.
Business!
Anyway, what was I doing in this town again? Oh, right, looking for my daughter. On our way to the lake, presumably to hook up with Jennifer Parker, the town shifts back into the other world. Hey, we didn't even need to pass out this time. What are the rules of this world? On a rescue boat, Harry reunites with Sybil and, could it be?
Dahlia Gillespie.
Dahlia tells him the cult that's taken over the town intends to sacrifice Cheryl to bring on the apocalypse. They're being helped by a demon in Alessa's body, and she needs 2 more marks of Samael around town before the ritual is complete. One location's the nearby lighthouse, and the other at the Lakeside Amusement Park. Sybil offers to head to the park, probably because she's got a $5 off Great America Coke can, leaving Harry free to explore the lighthouse. Let's take the boat! Come on, Harry, just use your hands now. This boat's not gonna go anywhere. Alright, fuck this. On our way to spilling the beans at the lighthouse, we spill the blood of 4 more monsters. We arrive too late thanks to this cool but endless staircase, and find Alessa's already placed the 2nd mark. And that's kind of it. Really, that's literally all there is to do here. Well, at least we can de-wormhead this place a little, teeing off with 2 of them. 4 kills. 4 kills. We reluctantly head back into the sewers where we sanitize 13 more teenage mumbler hang scratchers. Don't forget the gray child. They're dead too. We then arrive at the park's carousel, or is it merry-go-round? It's the same thing. Sybil's taking a little ride, and she's not feeling quite like herself. Uh-oh, Peggy Lou, is that you? Actually, she's been infected by one of those sluggy parasites that were possessing the nurses. And canonically, Sybil does die here, with Harry forced to kill her in self-defense. However, since we picked up that liquid at the hospital earlier, and I had a live stream chat to help me, we're able to cure her with our plastic bottle. Plastic bottle! And this puts an end to the Hell Baby before it can resurrect via a Voorhees cooch. With that threat neutralized, we can confront Alessa. Or we would if our pants weren't glowing right now. Ho ho ho, is that a Flauros in your pocket or you just happy to see me? Nope, no, it's a Flauros. And do you remember who gave us that Flauros?
Dahlia Gillespie?
Dahlia Gillespie. Sorry. Turns out she's Alessa's mother, having tricked Harry into helping recapture her daughter. And before the Flauros can tell us this wizard lady came from the moon, we pass out and wake up next to Lisa. God damn it. She reveals that in our absence, she went down to the basement and discovered a secret about herself. She runs away before revealing exactly what it is, though. So we descend down the elevator to find out ourselves. Only this isn't the Otherworld Hospital. It's a separate location called Nowhere, made up of different parts of all the previously visited areas, which means there's a bunch of new puzzles. Yay! But no map to navigate the repetitive halls. Boo! Nowhere is by far the most annoying part of the game, as I had to retrace my steps endlessly thanks to every door looking the exact same, and the camera angle swapping all the time, which was Team Silent's intent to keep you disoriented, but I think it's just a dick move. So to sum up, we spend a very long time deciphering what appears to be a Zodiac puzzle before realizing it is not.
Oh, god damn it. Is it the number of legs and arms?
It is! And we once again take out our frustrations on the nearby hospital staff. Goodbye, nurse! Harry finally catches up with Lisa, who begs him to help her.
I'm not the only one who's still walking around. I'm the same as them. I just hadn't noticed it before.
Lisa wants some of that good Harry hugging, but is rejected. And in what is probably the game's most iconic moment, Lisa begins bleeding from her face and eyes as a horrified Harry runs into the hall, screaming, "Big Bird, chase! Big Bird, chase! Big Bird, chase me!" The scene is scored by the eerie Not Tomorrow, from composer Akira Yamaoka, who has become the beating musical heart of the franchise, having scored every major installment of the series, as well as Lollipop Chainsaw. Originally brought on to score just Silent Hill's trailer, Yamaoka's initial approach didn't wow director Toyama, so he explored some sounds not typically used in horror, and in about 30 minutes, created the mandolin track used for that hidden title cinematic. Toyama was so impressed he hired Yamaoka to compose the entire score, and he used his own love for Angelo Badalamente's work on Twin Peaks to further Lynchify the game. He eventually became overall sound designer for the game as well, creating every individual sound effect you hear, which actually led him to blur the line between score and sound design, using air vibrations and ambient noises rather than traditional cinematic music in certain scenes. Further complicating things was the lack of memory available on the PS1. They weren't able to include all the sounds and music they wanted at high quality.
じゃあ収められないんであれば、多少こうローファイっていうちょっとこう音が荒かったり。
The result is unique and off-putting, and sometimes annoying.
What the hell is that? Stop!
But hey, at least it's no bloated clown orgy.
Director's cut.
Can someone get those horny clowns some Gas X? When Harry returns to the room, Lisa has disappeared. All that's left is her diary, which reveals she was the nurse assigned to care for Alessa.
There's no respect for people's privacy in horror games, right?
Oh, what's this? James's diary. I tried to fire Zoran again today, but I got distracted by my own abs. I mean, they are very nice abs. Her diary describes strange happenings around the hospital, as well as Alessa's wounds, which mysteriously never healed. A videotape found on the second floor gives even more detail.
Her skin is all charred. Even when I change the bandages, the blood and pus just start oozing through. Why? What is keeping that child alive?
As with a lot of the game's story, it's a little ambiguous what's happening to her. Especially in this shot. Yeah, just, lean into it. But as confirmed in Silent Hill Origins, Lisa's been dead before this game even started. She was killed when the town underwent its initial transformation, and her soul has been trapped in her 12-hour shift ever since. After some more puzzling and key collecting, we end up in a kitchen where we lock up a fridge with a ring of contract.
That's what this is!
And if we hadn't locked that shit down, we could have been dragged to our deaths by the returning bloodsucker. Just like Miles Magnus in that episode of Monsters. This has been Zorn's Obscure Reference of the Day. we end up smashing a couple ghost children with a hammer, which confused me thoroughly, since earlier in the game we'd seen these harmless ghost children who would just comically slip and sound like cute little porgs. These ghosty boys and ghouls are called stalkers, and the harmless, cutesy ones are called larval stalkers, who were added to give you a sense of relief that not everything in this world wanted to kill you. And since this is the last time we'll probably be killing any enemies ourselves, let's just take a moment to also remember the background bodies that were silenced in these hills.
What do I look like, a library book to you?
I sat in honey, and then I died.
Mr. Lewis? Mr. Randall? Mr. Phillips?
We then return to Alessa's sick room to see ghostly versions of Dahlia, Kaufman, and 2 other doctors discussing Alessa's treatment.
Half the soul is lost. That is why the seed lies dormant.
I'm sorry, is Stefan doing a Godfather impression right now? What is that voice? Anyway, these loose memories help fill out Alessa's backstory. Seems that Dahlia was actually the leader of the town's cult, called the Order. No, not that one. When her daughter was born with supernatural powers, Dahlia took it as a sign that she was meant to give birth to the dark god that they all worshiped. So she initiated a ritual that would have impregnated her with said god when she was 7 years old. I'm sorry, what? That is fucked up. However, rather than allowing that to happen, Alessa interrupted the cult's ritual and split her soul in half, greatly diminishing her power. As shown in Silent Hill Origins, the process resulted in a fire that burned her entire body. Kaufman agreed to care for her, and as a reward, the cult helped him build up his drug empire. Alessa's been kept drugged up and comatose in the hospital basement for years, but her endless nightmares eventually began to seep into reality, affecting the town and resulting in its current state. In fact, all the monsters in the town are manifestations of Alessa's fears. Groaners represent her fear of large dogs. Rompers are her fear of adults and their overpowering nature. Creepers, twin feelers, and hang scratchers are her fear of insects. The bloodsucker, night flutters, wormhead, and Jim are her fear of worms. The split head is a fear based on a storybook as well as the sound of the school's boiler that it emits. Parasites could represent the Order and their control over the doctors and nurses that watched over her. Okay, wow, that's a lot of lore. So you know what? Let's take a moment to ourselves in this room inspired by Buffalo Bills from Silence of the Lambs. And that's not the only reference to Silence of the Lambs, as the newspapers throughout the town show Bill skins his fifth. So really, this is Silence of the Hills, if you think about it. Harry then heads to the finale, just in time to see Dahlia Gillespie knock Sybil out of the cutscene. Hey lady, the PS1 can't render that many characters. Get out of here!
I'm in no mood for jokes.
Sorry, Mr. Mason. Dahlia then reveals the other half of the story. When Alessa split her soul in two, the other part manifested as a baby called Cheryl. That's right, Harry and his wife Jody adopted Cheryl after finding her on the side of the road, and I guess cutting her finger? Ooh, that's one sharp baby. Dahlia's kept her daughter in constant pain in order to get her to lure Cheryl back. She eventually conceded, astral projecting herself to cause that car crash. In a tragic twist, it's revealed that Cheryl was gone the moment they entered town, having been remerged with Alessa, just like Jamie Madrox and Siren's baby. Oh man, that comic scarred me. This forms a new being known as the Incubator. Oh yeah, and all those symbols around town, that was actually Alessa attempting to save the town. So I guess it turns out this J-pop demon haver was trying to create a Han Moon over the other world. That is before Harry did a takedown and stopped her from going golden. So to sum up, Harry's an idiot, and this hella culty helicopter mom is finally gonna get her way.
My daughter will be the mother of God.
But just as the ritual commences, she's shot from off screen. Surprisingly, it's Dr. Kaufman, who can hit a shot from 30 feet away rather than right in front of him. And he's pretty pissed about being used by the cult. He produces his vial of mysterious liquid in a plastic bottle.
Plastic bottle! You killed our savior!
Which is revealed to be an anti-demon repellent called Aglogophus. Magic stuff. Kaufman then chucks it in dramatic slow motion. That's pretty cool. Yeah, okay, keep going. All right, almost there, and right in the face. Alessa freaks out, as does the soundtrack, trying to tune to the station
For the composer, we don't know what station it's on.
And the demon called the Incubus emerges from her body and burns Dahlia Gillespie alive. The same fate she'd given her daughter. Yep, looks like it's boss battle time! However, since we didn't realize you could actually move the camera, we just wildly fire into the air and get killed 4 times by 1.21 gigawatts of annoyance. Next time, we accidentally move the camera, which allows us to shoot its Bamfo titties enough times for it to transform back into Cherylessa, who then splits her soul again, giving Harry a replacement baby made of their energy. Oh, Harry, say goodbye to all those naps you've been having this whole game, buddy. Harry and Sybil escape together, but before Kaufman can join them, he's dragged back to his death by the ghost of Lisa, who's climbed out of one of the Spot's portals, I guess. And honestly, he deserves it too. Origins revealed that Kaufman got her addicted to PTV, which he abused so she would keep taking care of Alessa. Also, he blackmailed her into having sex with him. He's a dick. Harry and Sybil escape, having had enough of this world and its people's mindless games. So now the only thing to do is pardon the incubator and incubus while they burst into flames. The game ends as our protagonists run back into the fog. But of course, there are actually 5 different endings to this game, with this being considered the good plus ending. The good ending is the canon one where Sybil dies and Harry runs off with his incubaby alone. The bad plus ending happens if you skip the Kaufman side quest and keep Sybil alive, resulting in you fighting the incubator and thus basically killing your daughter, but getting saved and slapped by Sybil. And the bad ending happens if Sybil dies as well as Kaufman, resulting in you killing the incubator, who thanks you in Cheryl's voice.
Thank you, Daddy.
That doesn't seem so bad, until it's revealed that this actually was a Jacob's Ladder scenario, and Harry had died in the car crash. Oh, and of course there's also the infamous UFO ending, which sees Harry being abducted by aliens, possibly from Mars, complete with a Star Wars-inspired text crawl. It's truly a testament to the fun Team Silent had making the game, and the trust Konami gave them to create whatever they wanted.
合宿みたいでちょっと楽しいかなと思ってたりするところもなくもなかった。
今のゲーム作りも楽しいですけど、あんなにしんどかった昔の方がなぜか思い出補完だと思うんですけど楽しかったんですよね。
And it's this sense of play that I admire so much, which is further expressed in outtake end credits that have the characters mugging at the camera. Oh, Harry. How many enemies decided to die on this Silent Hill? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Radio. Okay, that means there's an enemy nearby. I gotta protect myself. Machete, yes! Yes, there is. There's a machete. It's right there. Yes, there. Just tell me what I'm looking at. Peering through the fog, we were able to count 218 kills during our playthrough. Breaking that down further, there were 44 humans, 145 monsters, 2 animals, and 27 background bodies of unknown monster or human origin. As for gender, there were 7 males, 35 females, and 176 unknown because I refused to lift up a wormhead skirt. Out of respect. That gives us a very monstrous pie that they'd be proud to serve at the 5-2 cafe. So, how did our playthrough compare to others? Well, if you actually used the dodge controls I forgot were a thing, and avoided killing anything you didn't have to, the lowest kills you could get would be 40, which basically boils down to background bodies, bosses, and cutscene deaths. As for the highest kills, well, that would be infinite, since if you play the game on hard mode, the enemies will respawn, meaning you could spend the rest of your life killing mumblers on Matheson Street until the world becomes the one written of in I Am Legend, which definitely puts us on the lower end of this graph. Yikes. As for player deaths, we died 16 times, and with a playthrough time of 11 hours and 12 minutes, that gave us a player death on average every 42 minutes and a kill on average every 3.1 minutes. God, I had to recount those bodies so many fucking times. Wait, edit that out. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the wormhead we knocked out of the air. We killed many naked puppies along the way, but it felt good to cancel this poochie for good. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to the roaches we squished in the dark. We couldn't see anything, and honestly we could have just turned on the light to have them scatter away. And finally, the Royal Reload for best player death goes to getting eaten by the Splithead the first time. It's probably the most horrifying if you really think about it. Being enveloped and suckled on by a colossal lizard mouth, it's just not my thing. Maybe it's Godzilla's wife's thing, not mine. And that's it. Silent Hill was released in 1999 and is set to get the remake treatment by Bloober Team in the near future. Will it improve on the mapless halls of nowhere? I fucking hope so. Next month, we'll be moving to Sunday releases with one of my favorite games of the year, The Happy Hills Homicides. But until then, I'm a man who once threw an NES out of a moving car for funsies, and this has been the Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Have you ever wanted to witness ancient history? To peer through the
For all the time I've been playing around with old computers, there's one generation of hardware I've never really touched. Original Socket 7 Pentiums. And you know what? Today, I think it's time I finally fix that, and I actually have the perfect system in mind for that. And it's actually a pre-built computer that I want to start out with. The only problem is that it's a POS. Yes, a point of sale computer, and while this doesn't seem like the ideal starting point for a vintage computer build, trust me when I say by the time I'm done with this thing, it's going to be the ultimate mid to late 90s fragging monster. Through a frustrating series of events, I have acquired 2 of these in very different varieties. The right one is the one we will actually be building up today, and the left one is one that I acquired as part of a troubleshooting process. Now, both of these computers are actually made by the same parent company that I believe is called Safari? It's hard to tell because they're actually OEM systems integrators systems. The left one is released by Concord, and the right one is by ICRDA, which is International Cash Registers Distribution Association? I don't know. But they are seriously point-of-sale computers. They're not meant to be anything fancy, and they're probably not even meant to end up in your home. Now, both of these systems have the same model number, PDA 2000, and are called a data book computer with the FCC ID EUN Safari Plus. And all of that information is almost useless because it's so generic, but thankfully with the Safari part of the FCC ID, I was actually able to find PDFs for how to configure this system, which is good because it wasn't set up correctly when I got it. Which is why I've never really done anything with this computer, despite getting it almost 15 years ago now. I was given this by a family member probably 5 years after it was retired, and it just never worked out for me. But since I was able to find that manual and now have a better understanding of how all these old systems work, I was able to get it going. And not only does it work incredibly well. But there's one thing I haven't really made clear about this system. Most mid to late 90s computers are fairly large, and for good reason, because you need to have room to put in all the components. And if you're like me, you relish the giant cases and just can't get enough of them. But this computer isn't like that, and while most systems of this era would have been larger than something like a PlayStation, this one isn't, at least in all dimensions. Yes, this is the smallest Pentium system I have ever seen, and it is awesome. Now, let's start to get into why this thing's so cool as I disassemble it here. Most new computers that are made small are done so using laptop parts because the chipsets are smaller and produce less heat, the components are a little bit less costly, and overall, they're all just a lot smaller and easier to work with, especially when you need to integrate everything onto a single board. But that wasn't really an option around this time. So this system, aside from the CD drive and, well, sort of this power supply, uses all standard-sized desktop components. That is a full-size Socket 7 socket, although it is kind of weird, and we'll take a look at that. but everything else in here is full size, including the hard drive that this originally came with. This system is designed to use a full-size 3.5-inch IDE hard drive. It's just that, well, the BIOS here kinda sucks, and the biggest sized hard drive you can use in it is 40 gigs. That wasn't a problem for this original drive that I believe is only 3 gigabytes, but when I've gone to upgrade this, that's caused me quite a number of problems. Now, to get to where the hard drive goes, we have to continue on with the disassembly, because in order to do almost anything with this computer, you have to take out every single component, and that whole process has made testing and troubleshooting this system a complete nightmare. Matter of fact, I've been working off and on this computer for, I think, over a year now, and it has just been the most frustrating and difficult process because this motherboard is specific to this system, and so are some of the cables. So this cable I actually thought had failed multiple times, but it turned out the original CD drive that was in this was actually bad. So that drive is new, and that's why it doesn't match. Finally, now we have the motherboard in all of its glory. Now, this is a very unusual motherboard. First of all, it covers the entire bottom of the case, and it has a plastic film over it so that it can't short against the totally metal shield that goes over this. But it's well, it's bigger than you might think, because here is a more typical Socket 7 motherboard, and if I turn this one around and hold the other board up against it, you'll see the small case board is actually just a little bit bigger in all directions, which is really weird considering this one has a full complement of all of the slots that you would need, and I think maybe even 2 expansion slots, which is the only way that you can plug any cards into this one, is with a riser over here. And this one only has 2 RAM slots, which I believe this originally came configured with this 32 megabyte stick, but the board maximum is 128, so I've fit it with 2 64 meg sticks. But this one has 4 memory slots, and it has 2 full-sized IDE connectors and a floppy, which this does also have, but it only has 1 normal IDE. The other one is for that custom CD drive connector. But again, this one still has a lot more on it. Now, these are both boards from the time when the Super I/O chips, like this UMC one, would be integrated on board. So before, you would need something like this card in, say, a 386 build that would give you IDE, floppy, and all that stuff, and it would be really handy to have that on one card, but they started integrating those types of things into the boards really fast. But there is one huge difference between these two boards. This board lacks a video card, which you would need to add here. Now, what's really cool, this is an ELSA Victory 3DX, and this uses an S3 Verge DX chipset. This is a 2 megabyte card, optionally upgradable to 4 megabytes here, but this is actually the exact same chipset that's included as onboard graphics in this system. For some reason, this point-of-sale cash register computer has a 3D capable graphics card integrated in, I think, 1998 on here. That's pretty weird, but gives us some really great options. While the Verge DX does do 3D and has 4 megabytes of video memory, it's really better suited to 2D graphics. And because of that, it pairs great with a Voodoo 2. Yes, I'm going to be putting a Voodoo 2 inside of this computer, because with that, it can handle some pretty incredible games. Now, in order to feed that Voodoo 2, I am going to have to outfit it with a processor that can really live up to the task, and a Pentium 233 MMX should fit the bill. Now, what's really strange about this board and chip is that that was actually what was in it when I got it. That exact chip. This tiny little computer came with the most powerful Pentium 1 ever released. Well, at least for desktop class systems. I don't know why it was in such a weird little tiny meager computer, but it was. But the problem was it was set incorrectly. These jumpers decide what the voltage is for the processor, and the voltage is actually listed on the bottom of the chip around this area, and it was set to undervolted, which was causing this processor to sometimes report as a Pentium 166. That is what made it so unstable, and it took a lot of head scratching to finally figure that out, because why would a computer come with a processor and not be properly configured with it? Plus, this is, again, my first time using Socket 7 stuff, so I just didn't know to check for things like that. Next is the issue that gave me the most trouble out of anything else in this build, and it has to do with how you put the CPU in. Now, I did actually have to take the CPU out, and I was able to figure out how this socket works, but I didn't fully appreciate it when I first had to deal with it. Now, a normal Socket 7 socket, you drop the processor in, it falls into the pins when you have it oriented correctly, pop it in, and drop the latch. And now you're done. But there's no latch on this one. Matter of fact, there's no real strong indication in any way of how you're supposed to secure that processor. Now, it's only because I was able to find the manual that I have any idea how this socket works, because this is just mind-bogglingly stupid. You have to put a flat-bladed screwdriver into a little groove here and press against the socket and the CPU to tighten it. That is how you secure it. But it gets even worse than that, because generally I've found that doesn't work well enough, and you have to get in here and twist against the plastic until this side becomes totally flush, and it usually takes a ridiculous amount of force, and I'm actually going to have to get my extra force applicator here, because this is just stupidly tight in here. There we go. That's what it takes to install the chip in this. It's just dumb. It had turned out the last time I'd installed this processor, I didn't fully tighten it down, and it was a little loose, making the system behave erratically. And then finally, it came fully loose, and the system just stopped booting. That's why I bought the second one, because I thought I just had broken the motherboard somehow throughout all of the shenanigans I've had to go through to get this thing running. So that's why I have two of these now. But now that I know how it works, after having accidentally done the same thing to the second board but realizing my mistake, I can get this one working perfectly fine, which is good, because the other one's in really bad shape. It's all rusty everywhere. Now, the next problem is thankfully one that is solved by the case manufacturer, because this would not have been easy to handle on your own. A Pentium like this needs an actual active heatsink, and this is where this gets tricky in this case, because if you put just a standard Socket 7 heatsink in there, you've now blocked all of your expansion I/O. That's not gonna fly. So instead, this CPU has a special low-profile heatsink that hangs off of the chip onto the side. This is just dumb. There are no heat pipes or anything in this. It's just a chunk of aluminum with a fan on one side. So far, though, it's worked. I mean, there's no temperature probe inside the CPU that you can access, so it's hard to say if it's overheating or not. But one of the things I've done with this system is I have a power cable that allows me to just power the fan at full speed all the time, and it's my hope that that will be sufficient. Alright, now let's go ahead and get that CPU cooler installed. This is kind of a challenging one because the CPU cooler itself doesn't really stay in place while you're putting it down, because it wants to tip over because it's lopsided, and you have to put this latch on there to hold it down. So this is going to be a two-hand operation here. Alrighty, put it down nice and level-ish. Get the latch on the socket. There we go. Get it down to the other side, and there we go. Installed. I actually kind of really like this heatsink. I just wish it had heat pipes or something. I don't know. It just feels like this fan's over here completely wasting its effort, or at the very least, all it's doing is cooling the 3D chip down there. Well, 2D chip, because I'm going to have Voodoo too. Which, let's take a look at installing that now, because it's time to run into some more issues. Alright, now this is the kind of problem I would expect more from a build like this. Now there's absolutely nothing stopping me from putting this Voodoo 2 right here in the first slot, which leaves this ISA slot open up here, which I very much wanted to use for an AW64 because it's a Pentium system with the Voodoo card, and AW64 would be a fantastic choice. There's just one problem. I also wanted the CD drive in the computer because I want to play the actual games I own on it, and as I slide the front of the case together, which is very difficult to do when you can't see both sides of it, the CD drive runs directly into the card in the first slot. So whatever's down here has to be a really short card if there is going to be one. And since the Voodoo 2 must now be in the top PCI slot, that means I can't use the ISA slot for a sound card. So if I want sound on this, I'm gonna need a PCI sound card, which leaves me with pretty much one choice: a Sound Blaster Live. Now, Sound Blaster Live isn't my preferred choice, but it does make a lot of sense for a Windows 98 build. This just being a slightly older system, I really wanted an AW64 in there. It makes a lot of sense, but I was able to find drivers for this CT4870, so I was able to get it to working pretty much everywhere I wanted. But this did have one slight issue. The CD connector for the audio, it's too close to the edge of the card, as I had to modify it so that the cable doesn't extend over the edge of the PCB at all. As we put this together, you'll see why. But with that modification here to connect to the laptop drive, this card works out pretty well. Unfortunately, this doesn't have an optical out, so there's no way of using the SPDIF connector for the CD interface, but that really doesn't matter, so I don't care. It works, and to me, that's the best criteria to go with. Well, okay, it works and it fits, which let's go ahead and see how this fits in there up against the CD drive now. All right, slide the card in. There we go. And this time I'm going to try and do this from the back so I can see both sides. There we go. And as this whole front panel goes in, we can see it just barely clears it. There's only enough space for me to stick my finger there. So yes, that's pretty much the only card I could get to work in there. All right, now that we have the sound card in there, I'm going to go ahead and run the CD audio cable, which comes off of the motherboard and then connects right here. And there we go. And then I usually just kind of tuck this down because I got to make room for the Voodoo 2, which is going in next. So let's get started on that. Man, I haven't really... There we go. Now, the Voodoo 2 is not too bad to get in here. As long you just got to get it under this bar and then slot it in. Now, both of these cards are not retained with a screw that holds them in over here. There is a little notch that you have to slide that part of the PCI connection or bracket over. There we go. That kind of holds them in place while you actually hold them in with this little bracket that wedges down there and then grabs down onto them because there is just no space in here for there to be screws. And that is how you hold the cards in. And we're getting really close to having all the pieces in here now. It's just space is starting to dry up. At this point, we can now install the front face. All right, now the next step is finishing up the front half of the computer that just moves entirely, which is hilarious. Now this is just a standard 1.4 megabyte floppy drive. I suspect though I could replace this with an LS120 drive. The problem is the button. Now this button I actually 3D printed because when I got this one it was missing that one. The only reason I could see that it would be missing, because you have to intentionally take off this front faceplate, is that it was set up at some point in being used, and they didn't want people to be able to put in a floppy disk and take it out, so they just pulled the eject button off, and then you couldn't do that anymore. I could also see it just having been broken, because I'll put a disk in there later, you'll see that it sticks out a whole lot. You could easily sheared off, but I suspect it was removed instead. But the thing that we have to do first here is install a hard drive, which goes right here. Now, originally I was going to try and use a 160 gig drive, but that didn't work out because of the BIOS problems. I even tried using the OnTrack Disk Manager solution. That did not work. So I ended up getting this 30 gigabyte Maxtor drive to work, but I also used this SD card adapter. Now, this SD card adapter was actually so difficult to get working that I had to desolder the 4-pin hard drive sized Molex connector because I came up with a really weird configuration. Now, both of these work, and I decided I kind of want both in there, but I may change my mind later. I don't know. Hard drives actually generate a lot of heat, and the only heat output on this whole computer, the only fan that does anything, is this one for the power supply that has to exhaust through those little tiny holes. So, I don't know. The fewer heat generating devices, the better. But for now, I'm going to go with a hard drive in the SD card adapter. But there's so little space in there, what has to happen is I have to put the SD card adapter in like this, and then put the hard drive in on top of it. So, yeah, the only reason I'm able to do this at all is because this is actually a low profile hard drive too. So, yeah, that's interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and get that installed now. Now, before I put the SD card hard drive adapter thing in there, I'm actually going to attach the floppy power connector on this adapter cable. I actually kind of made this adapter cable too because I wanted floppy power and a Molex splitter and a fan connector all in one, so I piggybacked the floppy connector off of the pins going into there, so it's actually safe and there are no bare connections exposed, and I get everything I wanted. So this, I will just slide in here, and I have to kind of push up on that to get it to fit. And come on, there we go. This ends up being one of the tightest cable management areas of the whole system because we have to plug in a cable going in there, one here, one there, one there, and one there. And, well, you'll see, this is a whole problem area on this system. This case is so tight, I forgot to plug in the CPU fan here, so I had to pull out the Voodoo 2 and the Sound Blaster. Yeah, this thing just, it really, really sucks to work on. I hate it anytime I have to reopen this to do something, but there we go. I have this manually connected, and this just spins at max speed all the time. Okay, now this next part, it takes a lot of concentration to do, so I'm not going to be talking while I do this. I'm just going to fast forward through it. So I'm going to tell you everything I'm going to do here first. So the cards are currently out because I had to put the floppy cable back in, which goes there, of course, and I'm going to have to put those back in first. Then, as I slide the front faceplate back in, I'm going to have to connect the I/O interface for all the buttons and the LEDs and stuff.